How did we get here?
You guys were just weren't ready?
We didn't have our shit together, to be honest.
Can you tell everyone what General Magic is?
An AI agent that's in your iMessage.
You're a technical founder who didn't grow up in insurance. Why are you the right person to crack this industry?
Hey guys. What the industry should look like from our perspective. What we're building is quite differentiated and can't just be disrupted by some major AI lab. So like the way that Google did in the early days.
What made you trust us early?
You know, because of Composio, like it really doesn't take that long.
Walk me through like the actual moment when you decided to niche down to insurance.
It's such an old industry and it's ripe for innovation.
What did you see in those 7 hours that felt like he was the one?
7 hours later, we started shipping our V1 to the rest of the office. There's some stuff that like I can't really talk about yet. Not yet.
Someone just came from XAI.
Yeah.
There's an Olympic squash player. You and Jay went to McGill and U of T.
If you can't match the intelligence, you can outwork them.
Right now, I'm here in Toronto, Ontario, at the General Magic HQ with CEO and co-founder Anthony. This is my second time at the office, and I love it so much. It's so cozy.
Thank you.
And this is the whole team. They're locked in. Do you guys want to wave and say hi?
Hey guys.
I'm especially excited for this conversation, Anthony, because with this interview, I actually known you prior.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting story of how we met. Do you want to fill everyone in?
Yeah, we met at Toronto's homecoming event for Toronto Tech Week. This was like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was like last summer.
Yeah, it was like last summer. And I remember I was sitting down and I looked to my left and I was like, you're that Shopify girl, right? You're the one with the viral video. Like, oh my God, yeah. So, you know, that's kind of how we met initially. And
you know
then,
what's crazy too? You're the first person to come up to me for the Shopify video. Like no one has ever came up to me ever. No stranger has ever recognized me. So I felt so good. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it went pretty viral.
And I didn't know you were a founder then. I didn't even have the chance to like ask any questions. But then later on, I think once I started at Shopify, I went to this Speedrun event that your company, General Magic, hosted, and I was interviewing a bunch of founders, and I interviewed you too, and that's when I realized like everything clicked. Like, wow, I remember you from homecoming. Yeah, I realized that before, and so I think it's really cool that things are coming full circle. Now I'm working at Composio, and I find out that you guys are Composio users. Yeah. Super exciting. So just to kind of get the ball rolling, can you tell everyone what General Magic is for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, so General Magic, we essentially build text message AI agents to help insurance brokers with servicing and intake. So yeah, that looks like essentially an AI agent that's in your iMessage or WhatsApp or Telegram, and it helps you go through servicing requests, helps you get a good idea of what the hell is actually happening with your insurance in a way that doesn't take you 30 to 45 minutes and you have to call someone, right?
Yeah. What are the biggest misconceptions with what you're building, you think, if any?
So some people still recognize us as Open Sesame. So our previous incarnation, and they still think that we do like AI hallucination detection. And so, yeah, we haven't done hallucination detection in ages. Some people still know us as that, so yeah.
Wow, okay. Now let's go sit down and dive even deeper.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Okay, Anthony, so you started building robots at 7, hackathons in high school, electronic health records software in university. At what point did building stop being a hobby and start feeling like the only thing you wanted to do?
I think part of me just like always liked to build stuff, but I never really understood that like it could be a career path until like I was probably just in high school. I don't know, I was kind of raised on this whole like Dragon's Den, Shark Tank, like Discovery Channel, how it's made type of TV. And so, yeah, I got a sense of like, hey, like entrepreneurship is a path that you could take. But coming from Montreal where there aren't that many recognizable entrepreneurs, it was kind of like still to be decided whether or not it was a viable path for me.
And you studied at McGill, right?
Yep.
Not in entrepreneurship. What did you study?
Yes, I studied software engineering at McGill, and then did a minor in entrepreneurship. But yeah, I would say that a lot of what you learn in class is very different from what you learn in actually doing it.
Your very first post on X described your product as the insurance policy for your AI. And now you're literally building for the insurance industry.
Yeah.
Was that like a coincidence, or was insurance always somewhere in the back of your mind?
To be honest, it's purely a coincidence. But both Jay and I were well acquainted with the whole like very legacy type of industries. You know, I came from a space in healthcare, and he was in education, and so you know both those spaces aren't the most tech forward industries in general. And so insurance was kind of always there as an option, but we only really took it seriously like maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah. Your first company was selling electronic health record software into the Quebec healthcare system, competing against Epic systems while finishing your degree.
Yeah.
What did that teach you about selling to people who don't really want to buy? Because you mentioned you made a lot of mistakes at startup. Yeah.
Oh God, that was not a fun time. I mean, I
wasn't?
was doing everything myself, which I mean, I have the utmost respect for any solo founders out there. Just it's extremely difficult. And especially in the healthcare space, when you're trying to sell into hospitals, there's a whole like procurement process which takes forever to conclude. Yeah, it was not a fun time. What it did teach me though is sort of what pathways you should be taking to get into those meetings and talk to the right people. So that still serves us pretty well today. Lots of mistakes were done there, and then I'm glad that period is over.
Do you remember one mistake in particular?
Just purely like trying to do everything myself.
Okay.
I think my thought back then was, I don't trust anyone else to help me do this, accomplish this goal. So I'll just do it myself, which has its pros and cons, but it just did not work out.
So what did it teach you about kind of selling to people who don't?
On the selling part, it's just a lot of it takes time, and to be honest, you might have the best product out there, but if you don't, you know, interact with people the right way, the way they want to be interacted with, it just won't work.
Okay.
So you kind of have to go through the traditional pathways, even though it might take a lot of time to do so.
Let's go into more of the kind of the dark period. So your post on LinkedIn announcing how A16Z Speedrun just backed you, you wrote publicly, "We built the wrong thing first. People were interested, but we weren't proud of it. There was a sense of emptiness."
Yeah.
What does that feel like when you're also kind of seeing that people are really excited about?
I think the big thing was we were seeing traction, but could we see a future where that traction would be sustained over time, and where a large incumbent doesn't just copy us or make us obsolete in the next like couple years? That was a bigger question to ask. Because I mean, initially when we shifted away from hallucination detection into more of what we're doing today, the big question was, okay, are we going to see more or less hallucinations in the next 5 years? And the obvious answer was, well, much less. And it seems like we've been proved correct, where, you know, these newer models that are coming out are significantly more accurate than what they were last year. And we see that trend continuing over time. And so why go after a market that's going to shrink over time, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
So you think you started building at the right time?
I think you kind of have to make those tough decisions where, you know, although you might be attached to the product you're currently building, if you don't see a path forward, you just have to like,
Yeah.
do something else.
Yeah. So you entered a spiral of overbuilding, and then you lost a core team member. What does overbuilding look like from the inside when you're living it?
Just a lack of direction. Usually comes from not talking to the customers enough or not understanding their pain points enough. And so the result is that usually engineers have this tendency of just building for the sake of building. Because it's fun to ship code and like, oh, look at all these new features and all that. But in reality, like you're shipping stuff that nobody's asking you to ship. And so we're just wasting time. So generally it just comes from a lack of direction or not thinking about things from first principles and not having a clear goal in mind.
And so I've been hearing the first principles term thrown a lot within your team. What's first principles mean?
Essentially, you just keep asking why until you get to the primitives and just build from there.
Keep asking why.
So yeah, just always ask why.
And always kind of making sure you're aligned with your customers and making sure you're always building for them.
Yeah, I mean, your customers are going to be the ones that are going to buy your product, and so you want to make sure that you're building something that they want to buy.
Okay. I was having a conversation with another founder, and he mentioned that at the beginning, he was always asking his users, what do you guys want to see more of? What do you want to, and that wasn't a good approach because he felt like he was building all these things, but it just wasn't, so you have to be asking more so kind of what is the problem and less about like asking, oh, what do you want to see? Like input from the users, because you get all this, just so much input, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of things, right? Like I think you can have a clear goal in mind, but also break up your time into different sections. So like the way that Google did in the early days is that they allocated, I think 70% of their time on features that help the current product, 20% of the time on features that they thought people weren't asking for, but they believed was gonna help them in the long run, and then 10% on like the kind of wild stuff that like they just wanted to experiment. And from that 10%, they were able to create things like Google Maps and things like that nobody was expecting, but actually made sense. So you kind of have to like divide your time accordingly.
Okay, that's really cool. You said you went back to the whiteboard and stopped building entirely. How long did that last, and how do you resist the pressure to just keep shipping? Because everyone around you is shipping, you're like, I can't stop. Like I have to keep doing it.
Yeah. How long did it take for us to? I'd say maybe like a month or two. Really like trying to see what was on the market, what we thought was an opportunity that we could target, what we thought had legs like for the long run. And yeah, I mean, we kind of all agree like, hey, we're here to learn as much as possible in this period. We're not here to waste time. And for the pressure of shipping, like who's imposing that pressure? Is it like other founders? Is it your investors? Like,
yeah, maybe you're kind of imposing on yourself too,
maybe, but I would say that you're more in a rush of like finding out what's the actual problem you want to tackle, right?
Yeah.
Shipping new features is kind of like it's downstream from that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So like you mentioned at the beginning, you recently changed your name from Open Sesame to General Magic. What industry? So you mentioned it was like hallucinations, but what kind of industries who were you building for? I was talking to your head of growth, and he mentioned golf courses, construction. Was that, would you say?
So what we used to work on was essentially this AI action bar that would sit in the bottom middle of our customers' products. And essentially we'd connect into all of their APIs and allow their users to query their application and for it to do anything they would want. It's pretty cool, hard to execute on, but the biggest issue was just like, as you mentioned, like we had people in golf course management, we had people in construction management, like it was kind of all over the place. And so that will really, really hurt our sales cycles because it made us like less focused. And same for marketing, it was we were kind of all over the place.
Okay. Walk me through like the actual moment when you decided to niche down to insurance. What do you remember?
Yeah, I think we had gone our first enterprise customer in the insurance space. And as we learned more from their use case and what they were asking, we're like, hey, like this is actually really, really interesting. And the more you think about it, the more you realize that, the world around us is built on insurance. Like whether it's from a home or an office or a car, like everyone has insurance. And it's such an old industry and it's ripe for innovation. That's really interesting. Like it seems like an opportunity there. And so when we realized that, we're like, okay, like, you know what? Forget about the other stuff. Let's just do this.
Nice. Insurance is not a sexy market. What did you see that other people were missing?
I think it just goes back to what I was saying about like,
it's
it's
time for innovation.
It's time for innovation. insurance is often like taken for granted, when it really shouldn't be. Like it's like it runs the world, right? Like it's really important, but yeah.
Yeah. And you're a technical founder who didn't grow up in insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you the right person to crack this industry?
I think being an outsider from an industry is like kind of useful in certain ways, because if you haven't grown up, you haven't spent a significant amount of time in a certain industry, you're not, you know, preconditioned to the current status quo, right? You can start thinking about things not from a, what are others in the industry doing, but like rather what the industry should look like from our perspective. And so it kind of isolates us from what's currently out there.
How do you make sure to keep up with like the trends, and how do you make sure to always know kind of what insurance brokers are up to? Or
I mean, the LinkedIn, Twitter, like all it's you kind of have to follow the right people, and obviously surround yourself with people that are in the industry, and attend events and conferences and all that stuff. Okay. It's a combination of things.
Yeah. Is LinkedIn like the platform, the medium that insurance people are on the most?
It seems like it, yeah. Surprising amount of people are also on Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook. Okay.
So yeah, quite antiquated, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
That makes sense. Another exciting thing is that you guys are also using Composio, and you've used them since before we raised our seed round. That's a real bet on a team. What made you trust us early?
I think for us, we liked that Composio had a wide range of integrations, and it was really, really easy to integrate. I didn't have to, spend a week on a particular integration. I knew that with Composio, I could do it in a matter of minutes sometimes. It was really, really easy to do. And the founders were really open to helping us and support us along the way. Even through like the ups and downs, like, they were there for us. And so we like working with other startups. So yeah.
You're not just using Composio for integrations, you're using it to pull data from CRMs and enrich it with additional customer insights. Walk me through what that actually unlocks for an insurance broker, and what do they see that they couldn't see before?
I think usually when we engage with an insurance broker, they ask us if we have like a certain integration, and their expectation is that that integration, if we don't have it, it's going to take, let's say a month to get online. But in reality, because of Composio, like it really doesn't take that long, and so we get to iterate a lot more quickly that way. And so, from one call to the next, we're able to show them, hey, like you asked us for this integration to this CRM, here you go, it's already there. So yeah, keeps our customers satisfied.
You described dealing with API documentation and building native toolkits as a pain in the ass. How much do you think Composio has saved you if you had to put a number on it?
Oh God, I have zero idea if I could put a number on it, honestly. But I mean, I've seen some of the documentation that you guys deal with. It is not pretty. So big thank you to the Composio team, because yeah, especially for like older tools, it's horrible.
What kind of older tools?
I mean, I don't want to say any names,
sure.
but like some of these integrations are like very, very old, like legacy integrations. And so, I mean, just trying to go through the whole documentation is a
pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a founder, you said Composio lets you ship new features faster and get iteration cycles tighter. Can you give me a specific example, a feature you shipped because of Composio that you otherwise couldn't have?
I think a big thing was that we wanted to ship workflows. And so because of the triggers integration, the triggers feature that the Composio has, we're able to essentially dictate, if this happens, then, this would trigger this webhook, and then you're able to create a lot more like rich interactions with our customers. And so we had planned out for the whole workflow feature to take, I think it was like almost 3 weeks to ship, and we were able to ship that in a matter of a week. So it was like, it really helped us.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a founder evaluating another founder's product, what were you watching for? What would have made you walk away?
I mean, one, the product has to work.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Two, I wanted to make sure that the founders of that product were responsive and okay with getting feedback and all that stuff. So props to Composio founders.
Props. you and Jay decided to build together after 7 hours in a meeting room at Next 36, an entrepreneurship program.
Yep.
Most people take months to commit to a co-founder. What did you see in those 7 hours that felt like he was the one?
I think it was a mix of things. I think for one, we have very complementary personalities. So he's better at things than I am. Like, we complement each other in different ways, either it's socially or skill wise. And so I was kind of able to see that from the get-go. We are also, we also kind of both come from a similar background, and so we're able to relate. We have similar humor, and I think for a co-founder, it's not just important to be good coworkers, but also like you want to be able to hang out with the person, grab a beer with the person, and hang out, right?
Yeah.
And I could see myself doing that with Jay pretty quickly.
Yeah. You mentioned like if it's not like a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Yeah.
And for Jay, it was like it
was obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of, you said you guys had very similar like backgrounds. What were the?
I mean, both coming from technical backgrounds, both have previous companies in more like legacy spaces. Both kind of interested in the same stuff.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, both of our fathers have like very similar jobs, and so like it's, I don't know, it's a lot of it like coincidence, but I guess it worked out. Yeah.
So you joined the program Next 36 why did you join initially? So to find a co-founder or like to?
No, I mean, so I was still in Montreal back then,
Okay.
and I thought that if I really want to go and accomplish my dream of like being a successful founder, like I had to go join the best program out there. And in Canada, we thought Next 36 was the best out there. And so, applied, got in, and yeah, we haven't looked back since. It was pretty good.
Wow. And then you saw him and you guys like partnered up, or how did you guys get into the room?
Yeah, I mean, I had just so yeah, essentially I was looking at what he was working on at the time, was like an ed tech startup, and I was like, hey, like, how are you dealing with AI hallucinations? And he was like, oh, like, it's funny you say that because I'm actually dealing with that right now.
Wow.
And I just told him like, hey, like, do you want to like just try to like just let brainstorm and like try to figure out the solution?
Yeah.
And so yeah, we got into a room and kind of like worked through the problem like step by step. And 7 hours later, we started shipping our V1 to the rest of the office, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And then who first asked who, like, do you want to be my co-founder? How did that happen?
I think I did.
Oh, okay.
I think I did. I mean, to be fair, like, I wasn't the nicest person to Jay initially.
Really?
I was like,
Were you?
like, Jay, you seem like a really smart guy. Like, why are we working on such a stupid problem? I'm surprised you actually like you went ahead with things afterwards, but like,
okay.
yeah.
It's like joking back with you, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, you guys have very complementary personalities.
Yeah.
Very technical, and then I know Jay's more like sales, like business, and then
A lot more extrovert than I am.
extrovert. Yeah. And yeah, so it kind of matches.
It compliments, yeah.
Compliments. That's really great. You guys got lucky. How do you think about building trust with someone on your team over time? What does someone have to do to earn more responsibility from you?
I think whenever someone joins, we try to give them a lot of ownership for them to like prove themselves. And if we give them big tasks and they're able to execute on those tasks quickly and to a high level, then I can feel safer in like giving them more and more tasks to do, right?
Yeah.
But if we give them a couple of tasks and they just don't do a good job, then we'll be, I'll be more reluctant to trust them as a coworker.
Okay.
So yeah, we have high standards here, and so
Yeah.
we want to make sure everyone's like kind of up to speed and going full throttle.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be like hand holding or want to
No,
be.
I mean we're still so small. We have
no time
Yeah.
for just hiring the most competent. Are you hiring right now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
always
we are.
hiring.
Always hiring.
Yeah, but making sure to keep it tight and lean, like nonetheless. Yeah.
Yeah, we interview quite a few people, and not a lot of people like get to the next stage, and so we try to hire slowly.
Okay. just having, so when you were interviewing these people, how do you realize, because if you haven't worked with them before, like what gives it away that wow, like they have ownership, like they're going to take it into their own hands? Like what's the signal there?
I mean, usually you want to try to see if they have done something technically impressive in the past, let's say like 3 years. What's the biggest problem that they've solved and how they solved it? And you try to go through their thought process into it. That's the big thing for us. We just want to make sure, like, in this era where, code is so easy to write with AI tools, the only thing left to do is like evaluate the judgment of the person.
Yeah, no judgment. Yeah, critical thinking. Yeah. And what if they like pitch you like some crazy like new ideas? Like
Yeah, I mean, we're always open to crazy ideas as long as it actually makes sense to do, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, we always try to like kind of push the boundaries as to like what's possible. And so, if somebody gives like a crazy idea, a lot of people's first instincts is to say like, oh no, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Okay, like let's break that down and try to see if it actually is impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Your conflict resolution principle is maximum communication, quick to apologize, no grudges.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment where that was genuinely hard to do, where you wanted to go quiet instead?
No.
No,
I would make that very clear.
You're
like,
always like making
like even
clear.
between like Jay and I, no hard feelings. Like sometimes I'll say that what he's doing is stupid, and he'll say what I'm doing is stupid. It's like
that's amazing.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're all here to do a good job.
Yeah.
And it's not taken personally.
Yeah.
Right. And if we do think that we've gone maybe a bit too overboard, then like we'll just say like, hey, sorry if I got too much, and like that's fine. But yeah, just communication is the secret to building a good sort of cohesive culture between everyone. And if we say that something is not working properly, or you've done like a bad job, we're not attacking you or attacking like the process that we've taken to accomplish a task. Yeah. So we're all here to learn. We're all pretty young here, and so we all want to do a better job.
How do you like to receive feedback? Because I know with like when you're working at a company of everyone's different. How does Jay like to receive, or who everyone else on the team receive feedback? Like I know some people prefer like kind of there's praise sometimes, and then also because I know some people just, if there's just critique, then they're like, oh, what am I doing good? There's like different. How do you make sure people know that they're doing a good job?
So we take people aside if we have to like talk to them individually. Most of the time, these decisions that are taken either on the technical side or on the sales side usually involve a lot of people in the team. And so we want to kind of have like a gut check on everyone to see like, hey, does this actually make sense to do? And if something isn't working properly, like we'll just call out the person quickly. Yeah. If we're going to start having a one-to-one conversation, every decision that you take, like it's going to take forever. Yeah. Right. We're here to like execute quickly. And so it will just call out the person like, hey, what you did was not good. Yeah. Do a better job. That's fine. But if it's something more serious, then we'll take someone aside. Yeah, and then if you don't take them aside, then they're just doing good. Yeah, just keep shipping, like doing. Yeah, and we're happy to praise people for doing a great job. But yeah. First day of Speedrun, 2/3 of the cohort went to Stanford or MIT. Someone just came from XAI. Yeah. There's an Olympic squash player. You and Jay went to McGill and U of T. What were you thinking that first week? How did we get here? I think it was the resounding thought. I think everyone that we met there was just extremely accomplished, and like even though we were like some of the youngest folks in the cohort, we didn't think that we were like up to par, because we've never encountered people like this before. But as time went on, and you start to meet these people and really like talk to them, and you start to realize like these are just other human beings. There's no need to put them on a pedestal. Exactly. Yeah. There's no need for that. And if you feel like someone is really smart, like high intelligence, and maybe if you can't match the intelligence, you can outwork them. So you kind of have to balance those things out. But yeah, initially it was kind of oh shoot, like this is like the big leagues now. I think the fact that you guys were the youngest people in the room is so impressive, though. It was very impressive. I don't know. And I think that's something that you should be like proud of. And also being around the smartest people is what you want to be. Like you want to be around
Would you agree that you want to be around people that are smarter than you?
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
It's really good. You guys were able to be in that environment so early on.
yeah, it's like steel sharpens steel, right? Like you want to make sure that the people that surround you are like really, really talented because they'll push you up.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah.
Their bar is very high, so
Yeah.
you have to like keep up, kind of. So
Yeah, so like
really just-
us before speedrun and us after speedrun, like very, very different people. Like we see things in a different way.
Was there other accelerators that you wanted to apply to before, or did you just apply to speedrun and got in?
I mean, we're looking at like speedrun and YC. I think were two big ones. What appealed us with speedrun is that the batch sizes were much smaller, and so we had more time with the whole speedrun team.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were just really like the guys there.
I remember you mentioned how you guys applied the first time and didn't get in. Was that right? And then you ended up getting in. What was the time frame between those?
What was that? Like 6 months apart, maybe?
6 months apart.
I don't blame them for not taking us the first time around. Like we didn't.
You guys weren't ready?
We didn't have our shit together, to be honest. Like.
And then they told you guys like have your shit together, and then
yeah, I mean, yeah. And then luckily we got to meet the speedrunning guys, and like it all kind of worked out. But yeah.
What's not getting your shit together? What were you guys not?
We're just not clear on things. Like.
Oh, okay.
You know, you need clarity on what you're doing and why you're doing certain things, and our decision making wasn't clear. Our reasoning for certain product decisions just was not clear. And when you're kind of blurry on these factors, like you feel it, and it hinders your growth. And so the second time around, when we got a chance to talk to the speedrun guys in person, we're like, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here are the decisions we took, why, and this is why we think that it would be a good fit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think building those like genuine relationships is so important too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You announced in February that you recently raised 7.2 million in seed for your seed round.
Yep.
It was led by Radical Ventures, Speedrun participated, and angels from OpenAI and Figma. But then you guys like raised in October. Is that right? You guys finished the raise in October. And then you announced in February.
Yeah. So we had gone like our last couple of angel checks in January. So that's partially why we delayed the announcement. But at the same time, we wanted to coordinate with press and, get everything in order before we made the announcement. There was just no rush to do it.
And why, like 7.2, what does that mean? Like why 7.2? Like
we thought that the capital will be enough to get us to the next step for a Series A.
Okay.
And we believe that the partners that we had on board would allow us to get to that, next step quickly. And the capital is just there to accelerate experimentation and sort of learnings.
And you guys got into Forbes, which is so cool. Knew someone, so connected with a guy from Forbes.
Yeah. I mean, that was a lot of fun. It was not expected, but I mean, I'm pretty happy about that.
Not expected, but you guys like really wanted that. That was like one of the
I mean, it's a pretty prestigious publication, so like okay, pretty cool.
Forbes and then BetaKit.
Axios, a couple others, but
really cool.
Pretty happy about that.
Actually, the photo was taken here.
Yes, right? Exactly. Everyone was like around there, and
cameraman came in, took your photo.
The whole thing. The whole thing.
Very professional. Congrats on that. I want to take a pause from the questions, and I want to go into something that I did before the interview to prep.
Oh, God.
So shout out Molly O'Shea for that. What I did before this interview was reach out to a lot of your friends or people that we were kind of friends that I knew as well. And I asked them 2 questions. The first one was, what's something about Anthony that most people don't see from the outside? And how would you describe Anthony? Who is Anthony through your POV?
Okay.
And I got a lot of great responses.
Who did you talk to?
You'll see. I'll tell you.
Okay.
So I'm going to read them out to you, and I'm going to ask some follow-ups as well. Okay. You ready for that?
Sure.
Let's do it. Okay. First person I reached out to was Lawrence.
Oh, God. Okay.
So you guys went to high school.
Shout out to Lawrence. Yeah.
Shout out Lawrence. You guys went to high school together. Lawrence, I'm going to quote it. Lawrence said, Anthony is one of the most hardworking people that I know, and he's an inspiration. He and his team's focus and ability to identify what matters the most is something that's truly rare and unique.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like Lawrence, I have to hit him up after this. Actually, like, I appreciate that. No, Lawrence is great. I mean, a lot of the reason why I got into the whole startup space to begin with is like Lawrence was like really into it in high school, and we became friends from then on, and went to the same university, and kind of we're always around the same circles. But
Yeah. You guys did hackathons together.
hackathon,
You guys
yeah,
saw
I mean,
each other there, yeah.
damn, that's a throwback. Yeah.
What are some signals you look out for to identify what matters most? How do you do it? Like, what's your process?
What matters most?
Yeah, how do you identify?
We should try to identify the biggest bottleneck at any given time and try to like fix that bottleneck. Everything else is almost irrelevant at that point until you fix that bottleneck.
Okay. So bottleneck first, really figuring out what that is.
Yeah.
Fixing it. Okay. Next person, of course, Daniel.
Oh,
Let's go.
shout out to Daniel. Yeah.
Daniel is the
yeah.
best. He was one of the first people who invested in U&J. Is that right? He really, because when I was talking to him, he mentioned how he really sees like people come first, and he really sees like the potential of like people and their like innovation and everything and their talent, and he saw that in you guys.
Yep.
The first thing he said is how thoughtful yet practical Anthony is about underlying UX.
Yeah.
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 Because you were in charge. Were you in charge of like some like the UX, like the design?
I'm still in charge of like UI, UX,
Wait,
products, all
all
that
the
stuff.
branding, that's on you?
Branding, that's more on Jay.
UX, okay, in terms of
But yeah, I mean, Daniel and I still have our whiteboard sessions. I love brainstorming. He's the best.
He was also part of your recent rebrand launch video.
Yes.
He played.
Oh my God, yeah, Daniel was great. He played one of the characters in our launch video, and God, he came out on I think it was a Sunday, like -20, -25 degree weather, on his son's birthday.
Oh my God.
Just to film, and so like honestly, we couldn't have. He's just the best.
Danny, shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out. That's my person you wanna kind of aspire to be like.
100%.
He also said that he's like a young Toby, highly technical, but also quite the business mind. Do you look up to Toby?
Yeah, I mean, Toby's great.
In what ways does he? In what ways do you aspire to be like Toby?
Well, so Toby's interesting because, like, again, very technical, and it's funny because Jay and I kind of we have a similar dynamic to what Toby has with Harley.
Yeah.
But I mean, his recent interviews with like David Sendra, like very, very interesting on his whole thought process. He is your favorite founder's favorite founder, right?
Yeah.
And high conviction, very technical, sees things before everyone else. I would love the opportunity to meet him one day.
I'm sure you will. 100%. I'm sure you will. You also mentioned Elon Musk is someone you kind of are inspired by. Like, what qualities do you see in him that you kind of like and want to take? You're going to be reading his book soon, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Elon is probably the greatest founder of this decade for sure. I mean, this century, pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that one person can be at the head of so many companies and not just like doing some random kind of small scale thing, but like actually fundamentally changing the world and how we think about things. Like, not many people are able to do that.
One thing though, he didn't found Tesla though, right? He just kind of bought off Tesla, was it?
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, to my knowledge, I mean, Tesla wasn't doing too well before he came in. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll attribute full props to Elon for Tesla's success.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. And now, I guess X.
Tesla, X, Boring Company.
Boring Company? What's that?
They make machines that dig tunnels.
Oh, okay.
Very cool stuff.
Very, very powerful person, yeah. Okay. How has growing up in Montreal and Canada in general taught you about building at the frontier of what's possible?
So it's funny because a lot of like early AI came from Canada. I mean, I had the privilege of meeting Yoshua Bengio, one of like the godfathers of AI, like very early on in my career. He's still in Montreal, and shout out to Yoshua.
Oh, wow, okay.
But yeah, I mean, being around these folks at an early age kind of influences you as to like, this is what the future is likely to look like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better city to live, to be born and raised in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to come back? Do you want to continue building in Toronto, or do you see yourself coming back to Montreal?
I think for the time being, we're happy building in Toronto. Montreal's a great city.
Harley's a bitch.
Harley-
He's
I mean,
also from Montreal.
honestly,
right? He lives. Yeah.
Harley has taken the mantle on the city and really has helped the community grow exponentially. And so I have the utmost respect for Harley. I do probably see myself like going back to Montreal maybe once it's time to like raise a family and sort of that part of my life. But for the time being, I'm happy in Toronto.
Nice. And SF, because I know with your company, you go where your customers are, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't make sense to go to SF or, for example, New York. I mean, New York, is there a lot of like?
Yeah, New York is a big hub for insurance, and so we try to go to New York every couple of weeks. A lot of interesting people there. I mean, SF has a lot of brokerages as well, but it's primarily a tech hub, as you know.
Yeah, Toronto and New York.
But for the time being, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Aaron is next person.
Aaron, okay.
Anthony's superpower is being able to read people. He has a sixth sense and is able to sniff out potential and intention. Wow. He's also a jokester, super curious, incredibly competent, voracious learner.
Yes.
Voracious, is that how you say it?
Voracious, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So where does that superpower being able to read from come from? And has it ever been wrong?
I'm sure it's been wrong before.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like you meet a lot of people over time and you see trends in how those people behave. And sometimes it's like, what this person said doesn't equate to how they behave. Like there's something off with this person. And so I don't know if it's a sixth sense or it's just like you try to pattern match.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's good it's a good thing to have if you want to identify like potential and also like, yeah, if there's any BS. Yeah, that's been useful for sure.
What do you think? Am I like BS? What do you think when you look? Do I have the potential?
I think so. I mean, the things you've done, the interviews that you've done, your trajectory has been like really impressive, and I think the work you're going to do at Composio is going to be quite impactful and is going to get you to hopefully where you want to be in the future.
Sweet. Yeah. For me, because definitely I make sure to take action, not just talk. Yeah. Next, Cairo.
Oh my God, Cairo.
Cairo, the best.
Oh my God.
He said, when you look at General Magic as a company from face value, Jay spearheads the company. He's the face you see and assume leads, but when you meet both, it's very apparent how intelligent and business-driven Anthony is. He's the silent killer. I would never underestimate Anthony. Anthony is very much the standard for what a successful founder should look like.
Oh, Cairo.
He also, some more things. He wrote a long thing. Anthony to me is both a friend and a business partner. Him and Jay took a bet on me when I first moved to Toronto to work on the Open Sesame launch video. And that partnership has carried into the launch and rebrand into General Magic. We've both grown alongside each other and have a lot of respect for both of them. I would describe Anthony as a very fun guy, someone who likes to laugh a lot and that is supportive of his friends. He's also highly technical, logical, and driven person, someone who's down to make the tough decisions, even if it means it leads to the team winning. So I think that's really true. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's awesome you took a bet on Cairo.
Yeah, I mean, God, Cairo is such a talented guy. When we were looking for a videographer for our first video, I mean, he came into our old office and he kind of exposed what his vision was, and we're like, this guy is sharp. He knows what he's talking about. And we haven't looked elsewhere for videographer. He's the best. He's the best.
So, okay, cool. That was the question I was going to say. What do you look for in someone that makes you willing to bet on them that early? So he was just like, he was
knew
very
his stuff.
excited, and he like really, I mean,
yeah.
he did really, your launch video, the first one you did, it was on the A16Z Speedrun, like best launch videos website, which was like just
Really?
show, it was.
Okay, I didn't know
I
that.
saw it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much showing like how to have a good launch video, and Kyra, he made that with you
Yeah,
guys.
I
Flew out
mean,
to, was it
he
LA?
came to LA.
LA.
He came to LA, yeah,
That's
to film our
dedication,
second video.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
amazing.
the fact that he knew his stuff, he was willing to learn quickly.
Yeah.
He had big ideas, and he was like not afraid to hustle. Like, that's all you need.
Yeah. Let's go finish the few more questions. Let's stand up and do that.
Okay.
You're 12 to 18 months from raising a Series A. Would you say that's a good amount of?
Sure, let's go with that.
Let's go with that. When you look back at this period from the other side, what do you think would have been the thing that determined whether it worked?
If you just stay focused and execute quickly, then I don't see why we can't achieve that. But those are the two biggest things,
Yeah.
right? Let's not get distracted, and let's not, do other things that don't help to contribute to the mission.
Yeah. And then the market won't like shift anytime soon. Like, what if external things you can't control happen? Like, you think
The insurance market
yeah.
has been around for
Yeah.
quite some time, so I don't have any fear there.
Yeah.
We think that what we're building is quite differentiated and can't just be disrupted by some major AI lab.
Yeah.
At least I hope not.
What are your biggest concerns with like General Magic, with the industry overall? Biggest concern?
If we don't stay focused and don't execute quickly,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that matters.
Stay focused and execute quickly. As you think about this next year, what are you most excited about? You guys have some exciting things coming up.
Well, there's some stuff that like I can't really talk about yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
But yeah, always excited to stay focused and execute quickly.
Yeah. For people who are building something and following the journey,
Yeah.
what's one thing you know now that you wish you'd known when you were starting out that no one warned you about?
I think everyone kind of underestimates how hard it is. That's a big thing, right? How it might impact literally every part of your life, and the sacrifices you have to make. People warn you before you start, but you never take them seriously until you actually start doing it. But yeah, that's the reality of things.
Yeah.
Right.
And also there's so much advice in the world. How do you know who to listen to, and how do you like are you really are you very intentional with like who you take advice from?
Oh, 100%. If I think that person has done good work in the past, like I'll take their advice. I also think that the best way to predict the future is by looking at the past. So I try to read a lot, just purely like biographies and autobiographies. And so I take, folks from the past as like kind of mentors for different situations I'm faced.
Do you have any like mentors like close to you?
Close to me. I mean, Daniel's a big one for sure,
Daniel.
for sure. And then just generally, like we have a bunch of like founder friends that are also going through similar things as us, and they learn something, and then they teach us some stuff, and then vice versa, right? We're all in this together, and so let's try to help each other out. And
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.